Okay, so here we have question 5D. Okay, got a cylinder. A couple of things to note for this question. Firstly, you're given the diameter rather than the radius. So we're going to have to halve 80 centimetres. So the diameter is 80 centimetres and the radius will therefore be 40 centimetres. The other thing to take note of is that the height is given in metres, yet this is given in centimetres. So we're going to have to do a conversion of that once we go to do the calculation. So we're using obviously the rule of the volume equals the area times the height. Area of a circle is going to be pi r squared, and we're going to multiply that by the height. So we can now go ahead and do that calculation. So it's going to be pi multiplied by 40 centimetres squared, and then we're going to multiply that by 150 because we're going to convert this 1.5 centimetres into 150 centimetres so that it's all going to be in centimetres. So that answer will therefore become 753,982. And if we round it off to no decimal places, to 2 decimal places, it'd be 0.24. and that'd be centimetres cubed, okay? And then if we want to convert that from centimetres cubed back to metres cubed, we would therefore go divide by this one, and we'd go the same number, 753,982.24. To go from centimetres cubed back to metres cubed, we need to divide by 100 cubed, okay? And that will give us an answer of 0.75 metres cubed. Okay, question 8 talks about the shape of a fermenter, and it gives you a picture of 3 cylinders in the photo. My suggestion would be to draw a cylinder, label it with the information that they give you. In this case, it tells you that it's 1.5 metres tall and it's a radius of 60 centimetres. And once you've done that, you then end up with this scenario here, and this is very similar to some of the other questions that you've already answered. Okay. We note here that the height of this is 1.5 metres and this is 60 centimetres. And if we look at the question, it says find the volume of a fermenter in metres cubed. So what we need to do is convert the 60 centimetres to metres. So that becomes 0.6 of a metre. Okay. Okay, so now we're dealing just with metres. So we can then look at our rule, volume equals area by height. So we're dealing here again with a cylinder, such a circle. So we've got this pi r squared multiplied by height. So we're writing on our page what it is we're doing, and then we substitute in our values. So pi multiplied by the radius, which is 0.6, squared, multiplied by the height, which is 1.5. And we can then tackle that on our calculator. Okay, so that gives us an answer of 1.69646. Now the question asks us to correct it to 3 decimal places. So we know it's going to be 1.696. We look at the next number here, the 4. It's less than 5, so that means that we don't have to change this 6 here. So we can just eliminate those 2 and it becomes 1.696 as our final answer. And then we can just add the metres cubed for our final result for that question. Part B says, what is the capacity of the fermenter to the nearest litre? Okay. So to go from metres cubed back to litres, okay, you need to multiply it by 1,000. Okay. So we can then take our initial answer here, multiply it by 1,000, which in this case is you're going to move the decimal point once, twice, 3 times. So it's going to be 1,696 litres, 1,696 litres. Okay, here with question 9, we have this triangular prism. We're going to solve this in 2 different ways. So the first way is to treat it like it's a rectangular prism. So what we will do for that is we will just multiply the 9 times the 9 times the 12, okay? So we can see for this, we've got a right angle here, we've got this length side the same as this length side. So we can just go 9 times 9 times 12, and that will give us a volume of a rectangular prism, is if we extended it out like this, so to speak, and made a rectangular prism out of it. And then we will just divide that by 2, okay, to give us back to the original triangular prism, 486 meters cubed, okay? So that's the one way of doing it. The other way is to treat it as a triangular prism and use the method that we've used in the past. So this would be area of a triangle. So that's going to be B times the height of the triangle over 2 multiplied by what I would call the depth of the prism. In this case, we would just call it the height by the H. So then we can end up with its base, so it's 9, times by the height of the triangle, which is also 9, divide that by 2, and then multiply that by 12, okay? And you can see, obviously, the comparison between that strategy and this strategy and how they're effectively going to be very similar. That also gives you 486 meters cubed, okay? Okay, so here we have what would be seen as like a pipe or something of that nature. And so what we're using with this is our thinking around the area of an annulus, and then using that to apply to the idea of an annulus-shaped prism. So we're looking here at, to find the annulus, we know that we've got to do the large circle, take away the small circle to leave the area that's remaining. So what we're given here in this drawing is we're given the diameter for both, okay? Fortunately, they're both given in meters, so there's no conversion required. So we know that for the large circle, that the diameter 1.2 goes to a radius that's equal to 0.6. And for the small circle, we're given 0.8, which means the radius for that one is going to be 0.4. So now we can apply our thinking around this, which will be still with this idea of volume equals area by height, or in this case depth. We're going to find this area first. Okay, so let's do that here. So it's going to be pi r squared. So we're going to go pi multiplied by 0.6 squared, and then we're going to take away from that pi, again pi r squared, pi multiplied by the r here, which is 0.4 squared. Okay, so that gives an answer roughly of 0.63. Now, what we would do here though is, whilst I've recorded 0.63 here, I've kept the whole of the irrational decimal on my calculator. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply that irrational decimal. I'm going to multiply that by the 2.7. So I'm not rounding off at this point. Okay. So, so this roughly 0.63 is going to go up into this equation here. Okay. Times by the 2.7. Okay, but I've used the original, the more accurate answer there. So here we have 1.696, and just checking, it says to 2 decimal places. So 0.696 means here, this 3rd decimal place is going to push this up. So that becomes 1.70 meters cubed. Now, important to note here, 1.7 is an incorrect response given that the question asks you for 2 decimal places. So make sure you add that, make sure you keep that 0 in there to indicate that.